speaker over here. I think Mr. Hassan Bhutta is here. I've seen him on the camera. Start with Mr. Hassan Bhutta. He will speak about the building, the heritage of Pakistan, and he will be presenting a case study of Punjab archaeology to sustainable tourism. Sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saab, and good morning. Thank you very much, sir. I am audible, sir. So thanks a lot for giving me an opportunity for describing something about the Punjab archaeology and heritage efforts being carried out in Punjab province. So I will share my presentation with all of you, and so this is a pictorial kind of presentation. I will share with you with 15 to 20 minutes. Then any question from your side will be welcome, always welcome. So as Dr. Saab stated that the topic is Build Heritage of Pakistan, a case study of Punjab archaeology for sustainable tourism in the country. In this topic, there are three main points. One is the heritage, the second one is the sustainable, and the third one is the tourism. So I will focus on my presentation building upon these three factors. These are just a sequence, what is heritage, then definition and types, then some brief introduction of heritage, and then the heritage laws in Punjab province, then the conservation effort. This is a pictorial view, what the Archaeology Directive has done in the past, recent past. Then Pakistan as an international tourism market. Pakistan has a very good potential of religious tourism, just like Sikhism and the Gandhara civilization and other religions. So I think that this is the main point we have to focus and portray to the outer world that Pakistan has a lot of potential as far as religious tourism is concerned. Then the last one will be the initiatives taken by the Archaeology Directive and the Tourism Department, and most importantly, the communication strategy, how to market this archaeology and tourism in the country or outside the world. Just coming to the definition, heritage, everybody knows it is about our inheritance. However, according to UNESCO definition, the World Heritage is the designation for places on earth that are of outstanding universal value to humanity. This word is very important, outstanding universal value to humanity. And as such, it has been inscribed on the World Heritage List to be protected. This is another important word, that is to be protected for future generations to not only appreciate but also enjoy. This is the definition from UNESCO regarding the heritage, and it consists of physical artifacts and intangible attributes of a society. It has two kind of types. One is a tangible heritage, which maybe you can see it and touch it. The other is intangible heritage, which can't be seen, but it is also a part of heritage. This is a tangible heritage, refers to a physical artifacts produced, maintained, and transmitted intergenerationality in a society, including artistic creation, monuments, etc. You are seeing the pictures of some of the important heritage places on the slide. The second type of heritage is the intangible heritage. It is a practice, representation, expression, knowledge or skill to be part of a place, cultural heritage. So heritage has two kind of thing. One is tangible and the other is intangible, and it may be natural heritage or a cultural heritage. So all the things they come under cultural heritage are of intangible heritage, just I have mentioned on the slide. This is a small introduction of the Directorate of Archaeology, which was established in 1987. It was before 2011 devolution. It was under the federal government, and then under the Punjab government, it came in 2011, and it looks after the 415 protected monuments. What are the protected monuments? Actually, these are the two laws which give the protection to these monuments, including the 3 World Heritage Sites, the national monuments, and the tentative World Heritage Sites in the province. Pakistan have 26 tentative World Heritage Sites, out of which 11 are in Punjab province, As far as World Heritage Sites are concerned, there are 6, and out of them 3 are in Punjab province. So this is just a briefing of the Archaeology Directive. Most importantly, when we say about any department, we go to its vision. If you see the vision, it's survey, excavation, analysis of archaeology heritage, and then maintenance of site museum, the second part. And the third one is the conservation of all ancient and historical monuments. If you very briefly see to this vision, you see there is nothing mentioned about the tourism, how to promote tourism. So archaeology directed people, or archaeologists are of the view that we are here to only to excavate, to conserve or preserve the historical monuments, and to present to the outer world. But under their mind that the tourism is not included in their vision statement. However, under this international circumstances, and the Pakistan is focusing so much on the tourism, the actual tourism lie, and the Punjab is fortunate to have the heritage places abundance in this province, and this tourism is related to this heritage tourism and the religious tourism. These are 3 laws. Just for your information, one is Antiquity Act 1975, the second one is Punjab Special Premises Preservation Ordinance 1985, and the third one is Punjab Heritage Foundation Act 2005. Archaeology Directorate and the other countries also, these are the acts which have been governed by or guided by the UNESCO and other international institutions, how to protect our heritage, our history and culture. This is how to sustain this heritage or tourism. Very important, I have mentioned about the tourism promotion. It's a #1 priority of this present government, and it's very good. But the other thing is that only the preservation and conservation is not enough. That sustainable tourism is the main goal of any government. So that is the reason a new word known as readaptive use of archaeological heritage and religious sites came into being when Kamran Lashari Saab or the Wall City Lahore Authority made this Lahore Fort and Mosque Wazir Khan and this kind of things as a living monument of these archaeological sites. So this is known as readaptive use. However, the archaeologists or conservationists are of the view that the most focus should be on the preservation and conservation aspect rather than this for inflow of the tourism in these sites. Then how to protect these heritage sites is important thing. The third one is the provision of public facilities, just like benches, washroom facility for the families, then other tourists, and then the drinking water, gazebos, etc. These are very important for any heritage site or any tourism site in the world and in Pakistan also. And another important aspect is the elimination of key heritage sites during the night. Due to this very hot summer in this part of Pakistan, about 8 to 9 months, there's a lot of heat there, so people do not want to go to this heritage site during the day. So this is another initiative that to eliminate these key heritage sites in the province, so that the tourists can come there with families having a selfie and then enjoy outside the heritage site, because it is closed during the night. However, it may be opened in once a month or this kind of thing during any arrangement. Then the promotion development of awareness is very important. This is a communication strategy, how to promote our such a rich heritage to the outer world and under this world of internet and the Facebook and social media, etc. Another important thing is the coordination among different agencies. There are a number of agencies, the municipalities, the universities, the research institutions are there, archaeology, OCAF department are there. So their coordination is very important. Everybody department think that this is our tough war is going on, and they don't give NOC to the Archaeology Directorate or to other departments for this purpose, for conservation purposes. So this is a problem the department or the Archaeology Directorate is facing. And another important thing is the legislation and administration. The old laws have been amended so that according to this practice and the UNESCO guidelines, it should be according to that law. Now coming to which kind of departments are there and what kind of coordination is required. This is just a glimpse of number of departments working in Punjab province for the tourism or heritage in Punjab. For example, tourism may be TDCP, Tourism Development Corporation of Punjab, or Wall City Lahore Authority. Then preservation conservation is being done by Archaeology Directive and Wall City Lahore Authority. Religious tourism is mainly focused by a Vacuum Trust Property Board, a federal entity. It is not a Punjab province entity, and the Awqaf and Religious Affairs Department is a provincial department for the religious tourism like shrines, the mosque, etc. And for coming to the culture side, that is the museum and art concert, it comes under another department known as Information and Culture Department. So in order to having a good coordination among all these types of departments, a new initiative taken by the Punjab government, it is known as Punjab Tourism, Culture and Heritage Authority under the Chief Minister chair, and all the heads of these departments I have mentioned come under this authority to have a policy decision regarding the heritage, regarding the culture or tourism in the whole province, and this kind of coordination may be good under this authority. These are just 415 list of the monuments who are protected monuments under these two rules I have mentioned. And very important thing is that only 70 are owned by the archaeology department. The remaining around 350 are owned by other departments. So there comes the coordination issue here. Punjab is the hub of culture and heritage. The Muslim, the Buddhism, the Sikhism, Sufism is there. Then the Hinduism, the Katasraj is there. The Christianity are here. So Punjab is a hub of culture and heritage, and this is the strength of Punjab province. Coming to the World Heritage Sites in Punjab, there are 3 heritage sites. One is Lahore Fort and Shalimar Garden in Lahore. The second one is Rohtas Fort in Jhelum, and third one is Textile or Textile Museum. And there is a National Monuments of Punjab, Iqbal Mandir Sahib. Sir.
एहसान साहब
जी सर,
आपके पास 12 मिनट होते हैं और आपके पास 3 मिनट और हैं, आप इसको वाइंड अप कर लें 2 से 3 मिनट.
Okay sir, well, a lot of things are to be shown to the community, but it's up to you. I focus by your rules. So this is just a national monuments. Then the site museums are there, Harappa, the Texla, the Kasur. These are technical services to other departments. I'm not going into detail. I just gave the conservation efforts what the Punjab province has done, or Archaeology Directive. It's a heroes, the Kashikari, the delicate work by the in the shrines, just like the Noor Jahan. On the left hand side is the before conservation, and after the conservation is on the right hand side. I have saw in your email that 20 minutes will be given to the presenter, so that is why I have made my presentation of 20 minutes. But it's up to you. If you want to cover it in 12 minutes, it's up to you, sir. Then there is a Shadara complex, before and after conservation. Then Hiran Minar in Shekhupura. This is the other efforts. This is very important, the Rohtas Fort, before and after. Then this is Chuburji, the very important aspect in the Lahore. They say how it was before and then after. Chuburji garden, the conservation, a delicate work. Then this is Khan Bahadur tomb in Lahore. This is Ush Sharif tomb conserved. This is Zebun Nisa tomb in Yatim Khana, Lahore. Then is a Hiran Minar Bauli in Hiran Minar Shekhupura. There is a Basti Ram Singh in Lahore. There is another conserved area. This is Multan Suraj Miani Darbar in Multan, and the Kashikari work is very beautiful there. This is a Dravar Fort in South Bahawalpur. The outside right side you can see a beautiful picture of this Baradari being conserved. This is the walls of Dravar Fort, and this mosque which have been conserved. And now coming to the international tourism market, there are 2 I have already mentioned about the Sikhism. World Bank analysis says this is on this data the Kartarpur corridor was built that other than India, the Sikhs in UK, US and Canada, 83% of them want to come to Pakistan, due to which about $92 million will be a benefit every year to Pakistan. That's why the Kartarpur corridor was opened. And this is another second tourism market is a Buddhist market of Gandhara civilization. The 6 Southeast Asian countries, South Korea, Japan, Malaysia, Thailand, Sri Lanka and Bhutan want to come to Pakistan. This is Makkah Medina for the Buddhists, that is Textile and other in the KPK area. This is known as Buddhist Trail or Gandhara Trail, coming from Textile Museum to Dharmarajika Stupa, the Sirkap, the Mora Marado, very important sites of this Gandhara civilization. Coming to the tourism zones in Punjab, the Planning and Development Department have a study known as Punjab Special Strategy 2047. Under this, Punjab has been divided into 5 zones: northern zone, Lahore, southern zone, Fort Monroe as an alternate hill destination in DG Khan, and the Son Valley in eco tourism friendly in the Khoshab Valley. This is a Punjab Tourism for Economic Growth project, which is helping to build the roads in the, connecting to the religious tourism sport. These are 6 roads: Buddhism, Sikhism, Christian, Sikh, and the Muslims shrines are there under this project. This is another public facility like the boards for the facilitation of the tourists. Then the recent excavation, the second part of the Archaeology Directive is the excavation. Archaeological excavation in Mount Delora, that is DG Khan, and this is Nandana Fort Al Biruni. The Prime Minister just groundbreak in the February month for this important fort, where the Al Biruni, the famous physicist, took the circumference of the whole world in 1014, and the Archaeology Directorate is going to preserve this Nandana Fort with the help of Archaeology Department of Punjab University, and the Qaid-e-Azam University students are there during the excavation process. This is the sites, the fortification wall and the artifacts have been contained from this excavation at Nandana Fort. Now coming to the public facilities. The second part is the public facilities, illumination of the monument. This is Jawed Mandir in Lahore. Then this is Badshah Masjid, the Shalimar Garden. Then the Gorgi looks very beautiful at night. Then the facilities like benches, dustbin, canopies, toilet blocks, etc. are being available for the tourists. Then the World Tourism Day is very important. It's in the highest authority that the Chief Minister came at Shalimar Garden or in Jahangir Tomb, showing to the world that what is the importance of heritage, and we are as a government are giving the importance to our heritage in the whole world. This is a Textile Museum, and a new auditorium is being built here. Then a new auditorium has been built in Harappa last month. It has been inaugurated. The governor and the chief minister both came to this Harappa to show to the outer world this, that Indus Valley civilization we respect it, and we want to show to the world that we are focusing on it. And this is the Harappa. Then another important thing, the public facilities. Sir. Sir, last 2 slides if you allow. Okay, sir. Last 2 slides, sir. This is Attock Fort in Attock, and sir.
I must say you're very energetic.
No problem, sir. No problem, sir. This is Attock Fort in Attock, and we have started the safari train connecting from Golda railway station, Pindi, to Attock Fort through this Attock Fort, and people do enjoy it. And this is another thing important, the 2 new museums, Ram Pyari Mahal in Gujarat and Kalarkar Museum in Kalarkar, Khoshab. And this Ram Pyari Museum has a very good history. If you allow me in the question answer, I will explain what is the history of Ram Pyari Mahal and how it has been converted into a museum. This is the museum, it was built in 1918 by a Hindu contractor in his wife's name known as Ram Pyari. Now it has been converted into a beautiful museum last month. And this is how the Shalimar Garden, the World Heritage, and this is William Moorcroft, the civil servant of British era, who came in Ranjit Singh era in 1820, and it was just a closed pavilion, and it has been renovated, rather restored to its glory. This is how the picture gallery at Shalimar Garden has been started for the tourists. This is Jahangir Tomb, the picture gallery, the tourist information center. This is a picture gallery showing the history of conservation efforts going on in Jahangir Tomb. This is another important thing, is the August Chauffé, Hungarian artist August Chauffé. He came in 1841 and made 11 paintings of the Ranjit Singh, the Sikh Darbar known as Lahore Darbar, and the Ranjit Singh, Dalip Singh and his family. And on the right hand side, it is a Princess Bamba, the granddaughter of Ranjit Singh. So this is a very important thing, and Hungarian artist do come in 1841, and after 170 years, these all the 11 paintings have been restored with the help of Hungarian experts by the Archaeology Directive recently. And this is how they have been restored in the Lahore Fort Gallery. Now coming to the communication strategy, whatever we have, the history, the heritage, it has to be shown to the outer world. So this is just like the documentaries. This is a very beautiful book, sir. I will present it to you, the Punjab Heritage Monuments of Lahore. And to all the 250 embassies outside Pakistan, the missions of Pakistan have been donated this book, and they have shown a very important and beautiful remarks regarding this book. This is known as Lahore Monuments. This is a tourism application on this mobile phone or application phone. About 600 sites are on it, and you can very easily check out of the 36 districts which site you want to visit, which hotel you want to book, which are the facilities there. These are Google coordinates are available in using this PITB application. This is again website. These are newsletters are important for the communication strategy. This is Hidden Gems of Lahore, which is again a beautiful book. And the brochures. Coming to the last part of my presentation, it is a respect to local culture and heroes, sir. Unless and until we respect our local culture or the heroes, we can't success, and we have to give them the respect. So this is it. Just heroes. On the right hand side, Alladita Harappa. He is a potter, and his father Nawaz is a case study for the students of archaeology or history. His father was there under Mark Kenor. I have seen his name in the this seminar, and he was the man, and his father was the man who took the Harappa, Indus Valley civilization, the Harappa seminar in the New York, and the whole world known what is the importance of Harappa. So we have to give the respect to this Aladitta.
आपकी स्लाइड नजर नहीं आ रही इसमें, स्लाइड आप चला रहे हैं?
सर मैं चला रहा हूँ सर. Sir, this is the last one, known as the heroes, the archaeologists, the conservationists, the artisans. We have to respect it, and this is the last strategy slide of my presentation, known as the art culture and hero. On the right hand side, this is known as Chaudhry Muhammad alias the ex Chief Justice of Pakistan, who belonged to the Gujarat, and under this Ram Pyari Museum in Gujarat city, we have made the Heroes Gallery. The pictures of all the heroes of Gujarat, non-political, have been mentioned in the museum, Ram Pyari Museum. And on the left hand side, this is the Sasi Pannu, the more famous Punjabi folklore, and this belongs to Gujarat, and our nation or our youngsters should know what was our history, what was our culture. So we have to focus the respect to our culture, to our heroes. And this is sir, I have given some more, I have taken some more time from you, sir, but you have mentioned that we have short of time, so I have conclude my presentation here, and any question and answer from your side will be appreciable and thankful.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhutta Sahab. बहुत शुक्रिया. I must say you are very energetic, very enthusiastic about your subject. But when we are presenting, you know, in a small time, we need to focus on one or two aspects of the main thing. G, any questions? कोई सवाल? Bhutta Sahab has.
Sir, I am not asking the question, but I could not able to see his slides. I missed that information. But I could not see the presentation, the imagery. The imagery I could not.
The last slide.
Yes. Yes.
It's always when there is a technical issue with this technology, always is there. Sir, I will share the whole presentation. Yes, yes, Dr. Sir, I will share the whole presentation for the benefit of all the
with the team.
Audience, sir. Sir.
सर अगर कभी हमने कोई साइट विजिट करनी हो ऐसी जो बड़ी हिस्टोरिकली है वो, तो उसके लिए यानी आप अगर सजेस्ट करें तो कौन सी साइट सबसे पहले हमें देखनी चाहिए जाके? व्हाट साइट शुड वी विजिट, यू नो?
इसमें सर दो चीजें हैं। वन इज के आपके पास चूंकि स्टूडेंट्स या जो लाहौर वाले हैं, अगर वो बाहर नहीं जाना चाहते, लाहौर के लिए जाना चाहते हैं, अदर देन लाहौर फोर्ट जो वॉल सिटी लाहौर अथॉरिटी कर रही है, तो आप शालीमार गार्डन जरूर जाइए, नंबर 1। और नंबर 2 जो है वो जहांगीर टॉम्ब और नूर जहां का जो मकबरा है शदरा में, वो जगह जाने के लिए तो मुश्किल जरूर है, लेकिन मेरा अपना ख्याल है कि ये दो जगह हैं, इसको लाहौर के रहने वालों को जरूर देखना चाहिए। और तीसरी जो इम्पोर्टेंट चीज है ड्यूरिंग नाइट, वो है हिरन मनार। हिरन मनार शेखुपुरा के अंदर है, इतना दूर नहीं है, मोटरवे के साथ हार्डली 30 मिनट्स नहीं तो 40 मिनट्स लग जाएंगे। लेकिन अगर आप प्लान करके जाएं रात के लिए, क्योंकि आमतौर पर ये हेरिटेज मॉन्यूमेंट्स बंद होते हैं, तो इसको प्लान करके आर्कियोलॉजी वालों को रिक्वेस्ट करके तो वहां पे जाएंगे तो स्टूडेंट्स भी एंजॉय करेंगे, और जो उसकी सीनरी है उसको भी आप लोग सारे एंजॉय कर सकते हैं। इसमें एक हमें ये एडवांटेज है कि आपका जो आर्कियोलॉजी डिपार्टमेंट है पंजाब यूनिवर्सिटी का, उसके साथ हमारे से मुराद टूरिज्म डिपार्टमेंट और आर्कियोलॉजी डायरेक्टरेट का MOU भी है। तो उसमें इनके जितने स्टूडेंट्स आते हैं जो इनके स्टडी कर रहे हैं, फिल कर रहे हैं, PhD कर रहे हैं, इनको कहीं भी एक्सकवेशन हो या और कोई इस तरह की चीज हो, तो ये आर्कियोलॉजी डायरेक्टरेट जो है इनको वहां पे लेके जाता है, उनको पूरा हेल्प करता है। जिस तरह अभी नंदना फोर्ट है कि जो पिंड दादन खान जेलम के अंदर जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने इसका ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग की थी, वहां पे अभी एक्सकवेशन जा रही है, इतनी हॉट वेदर है, 45 डिग्री टेम्परेचर है, उसके ऊपर भी हम आर्कियोलॉजी वाले काम करें। तो आप ही के स्टूडेंट्स जो थे वहां पे उनको लेके गए थे 3 दिन के लिए, और उन्हें पता चला कि प्रैक्टिकली क्या सिचुएशन है, कैसे हम हल कर सकते हैं।
Sir, within a short time, you give so much information, especially Ram Pyari Museum is a new word for me. क्या वहाँ पे कोई स्टे का और कोई अरेंजमेंट है ऐसा कि if we want Lahore want to go and visit that place, so how we will stay there?
ओके मैडम, इसका पहले तो आपका शुक्रिया कि आपने अप्रिशिएट किया। राम प्यारी म्यूजियम के मैं इसके सवाल के 2 हिस्से करता हूँ। पहले आपने फैसिलिटी की बात की है, देखें ये गुजरात में जो है ना एज सच वैसे तो गवर्नमेंट के कोई नहीं है, लेकिन उन्होंने गुजरात में जिमखाना बनाया हुआ है, डिस्ट्रिक्ट गवर्नमेंट ने, DC के अंडर है, डिप्टी कमिश्नर के अंडर। जिमखाना एक अच्छी जगह है, अगर आप कहेंगे या आपके ग्रुप ने किसी ने जाना है तो हम उनको वहाँ कह के वहाँ पे अच्छा स्टे हो जाएगा, वहाँ पर रह सकते हैं। वैसे आमतौर पे जो लोग हैं वो सुबह जाते हैं, क्योंकि गुजरात इतनी दूर नहीं है, 1.5 नहीं तो 2 घंटे लग जाएंगे, तो आप जाते हैं फिर फड़ा के शाम को वापस आ जाते हैं। आमतौर पे कलर कार जब जाते हैं लोग यही करते हैं, लेकिन अगर आप वीकेंड पे जाना चाहते हैं तो जिमखाना गुजरात अवेलेबल है। एज फार एज हिस्ट्री इज कंसर्न, ये मैं आप सारों को जरूर बता देता हूँ कि 1918 की ये बिल्डिंग बनी हुई है। और आप याद ये देखिए, राम प्यारी जो उनकी वाइफ थी कंट्रेक्टर, हिंदू दास शर्मा था उसकी वाइफ थी कंट्रैक्टर की। 1947 में जब ये हिजरत करके या अपने मुल्क चले गए या भारत चले गए, तो ये बिल्डिंग प्राइमरी स्कूल को दे दी गई। लड़कियों के प्राइमरी स्कूल ने 1947 से लेके 1980 तक प्राइमरी स्कूल चलता रहा, ये आपने महल की तस्वीर देखी होगी। उसके बाद 1980 से लेके 2004 तक ये लड़कियों का जो गर्ल्स कॉलेज है, वहां पे डिग्री कॉलेज, एक जिम्मेदार कॉलेज है बड़ा मशहूर, एक लड़कियों का भी बड़ा मशहूर कॉलेज है, उसको दे दिया गर्ल्स हॉस्टल के लिए। 2004 से लेके 2015 तक वहां पे गुजरात यूनिवर्सिटी नहीं बनी थी, तो उनकी लड़कियों का हॉस्टल दे दिया गया। ठीक है, अब 2015 में ये दे दी गई बिल्डिंग उठा के आर्कियोलॉजी डायरेक्टर जनाब इसको म्यूजियम बना दें। तो बिल्डिंग 2015 से 2020 तक बंद पड़ी थी। जब बंद पड़ी होगी तो दीमक लगेगी या बाकी चीजें खराब होती हैं, आप सबको पता है, तो उसको कंजर्व करना, रिस्टोर करना। और सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज ये थी कि एक पैसा भी गवर्नमेंट के पास नहीं था। ठीक है, ये सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज थी कि किस तरीके से हमने मैनेज किया रिसोर्सेज, कि उन्हीं लोगों के साथ जो डरते थे कि हम ये खोलेंगे तो हमारे ऊपर बला पड़ जाएगी, तो हमने आर्कियोलॉजी डायरेक्टरेट के ऑफिसर्स हों या DC है, उससे हमें एलिमिनेशन रात की जो है उससे खर्चा करवा दिया। चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स के साथ मिलके जो गुजरात कल्चर गैलरी की मैं बात कर रहा था वो वहां पे बना ली। ठीक है, तो ये असल में म्यूजियम जो है ना, आप सारे कल्चर के लोग हैं, जो मेरा तजुर्बा थोड़ा 20-22 साल तो हो ही गए हैं सर्विस में, तो बच्चों को हम आजकल ना, ये जब तक ये आपको मोबाइल और टैबलेट और ये चीजें आ गई हैं ना, सारे बच्चे इस चीज के ऊपर लगे हुए हैं। हम अपनी हिस्ट्री और उसमें नहीं जाते, उनको जब तक इंटरेस्ट नहीं देंगे ना तब तक नहीं जाएंगे। म्यूजियम में बच्चा एक दफा जाता है, दोबारा कभी नहीं जाता। क्यों? क्योंकि अगर वो ओल्ड चीजें, तस्वीरें या वो आपने आर्टिफैक्ट्स ही देखने हैं, तो वो सिर्फ हिस्ट्री वाले तो जाएंगे। बच्चा कहता है भाई एक दफा मैंने देख लिया काफी है, इसलिए वो नेचुरल जो ब्यूटी वाली जगह है मरी या कागान नालान वगैरह, वहां पे जाना ज्यादा पसंद करते हैं। तो इसलिए इंटरेस्ट पैदा करना है, ये है नई चीज, रीअडॉप्टिव यूज जिसे कहते हैं, कि अपने करिए। जी जी
जी, thank you sir, thank you very much.
एहसान भाई, उर्दू में दोहरा दूं इस बात को कि अगर आपने कोई सवाल करना है तो आप चैट बॉक्स में लिखिए और कोशिश कीजिए कि आप 10 मिनट में खत्म कीजिए। हम सब लोग टीचर हैं, सो हमारे लिए बोलना बहुत आसान है, हम बोलते चले जाएंगे और शाम पड़ जाएगी। वी नीड टू take a slice of our research and just share that bit in 10 minutes. Decorative analysis of Lahore Museum. She's from University of the Punjab. I welcome Samia Tahir. जी सामिया, over to you. नहीं है इस वक्त। Now we move to the next, our next presenter. Ji Asna.
Assalamu alaikum. I hope I am audible. Ji, Assalamu alaikum. Ji, I am sharing the slides. I think data is a bit slow. Thank you very much, Dr. Aisha Bilal. It's a great honor to be part of this prestigious platform. I acknowledge the hard work of all organizers to arrange such a supportive environment to share individual viewpoints and collective wisdom and collective wisdom on a broad forum of common concern. My talk today is Reclaiming Textile Heritage of Pakistan. This is an effort to bring into limelight the importance of historic cultural awareness of this region. The contents of the discussion will be creating an understanding of textile design, and traditional textiles, highlighting the significance of traditional textiles, outlining diverse heritage of this unique region, defining distinctiveness of Pakistan in global perspective, overview of a few traditional textiles, and prospect vision for the revival of our cultural identity. A textile is a flexible material consisting of a network of natural or artificial fibers. Designs of textiles are often the links between cloth and the fine arts of a time. These are part of art movements and ideas of different ages and are instruments to carry these through. Textile designs are primarily evolved from three sources: the quality of fiber, the size and type of yarn, and the way they are combined. By this orientation, textile designs are classified into two types: structural and decorative. The word tradition means handing over and passing on. Traditional textiles are culturally significant ideas and specific practices which are preserved over a long period of time. Pakistan became crossroad of many splendid cultures and enriched the world with an amazing array of cultural, religious, linguistic, and artistic expression. This intermingling of cultures amazingly influenced local crafts, including textile arts. Knowledge of traditional textiles is directly involved in the rebirth of the cultural awareness of this place. It is a thriving cottage industry which is barely discovered to its potentials. It can provide sustainable livelihood to many local families of rural artisans. Use of traditional textile crafts reflect human labor and sensibility of the craft person, which a machine-made fabric can never do. a global awareness of the use of environment-friendly processes and materials is rising, yielding an enhanced need to create awareness and revival of our historic traditional textiles. The rich heritage of Pakistan's art and craft has evolved over a long period of 5,000 years. In this duration, Pakistan became the junction of many cultures. This intermingling of cultures surprisingly influenced all kinds of arts and crafts, including textile arts. Pakistan is a country with rich traditions reflected in the expression of folk textiles. Due to diversified talents, interests, and inspirations, different regions have their special identity regarding its unique folk textiles. In this land, the traditional artisans of Punjab, Sindh, Pakhtunkhwa, Balochistan, and Kashmir are pursuing their skills as they have done for generations. The fascinating story of civilizations of this period has been divided by historians in number of eras, as far as possible textile arts and crafts are concerned. These consist of era of pre-Indus Valley or early Bronze culture, era of Indus Valley civilization. Some evidences show that embroidery was a craft known to these people. Embroideries from Sindh has been known and admired by the visitors since Marco Polo's time. Era of Aryan civilization spanned across 1500 to 700 before Christ. Greek influence on the textile can be traced back in Savati motif preserved in traditional embroidery. It includes a particular way of breaking space into geometric patterns. It is mostly used in northern areas of Pakistan. Decorative elements of these traditional textiles show symbolic use of lotus, people leaf, floral garlands, and scrolls. The Kedi or Paisley is a motif earliest traced to this region. Paisley later became very popular in Kashmir as a dominant part of Pashmina shawls. Pre-Mughal Islamic period is marked by a great synthesis of different cultures, including Arab, Byzantine, Roman, North African, Egyptian, and Central Asian. The popular angular geometric patterns are reflective of Central Asian decorative style. During Islamic period, turquoise, blue, and green colors dominated in mosques as well as in every medium of art and in textiles. This practice was a contrast to the pre-Islamic color schemes dominated by yellows. Further intermingling of cultures resulted in development of art and craft to a legendary height. Mughals' tremendous patronage of the arts encouraged and increased the production of most refined textiles in this region. It was during Mughal period that at first Humayun and later Akbar the Great imported Persian artisans and patronized weaving industry. They established imperial workshops at their capital cities of Delhi, Agra, and Lahore. Lavish clothing, gold and silver threadwork, silk, brocades, velvets were among their productions. Their most renowned contribution to the textile art was their patronage to the knotted carpet industry. The region came across decline of flourishing textile trade by the end of 18th century due to political instability of the region. Introduction of machine-made textiles and preference of the British to import raw material from this region and export finished product back to us contributed majorly for the decline in the practice of traditional arts. Here is a short overview of some traditional textiles. Among the textile surface decorative techniques, embroidery possessed a great potential since early days. Embroidery has been a key technique to produce a vast number of personal and home textile items. Historic Fulkari of Punjab consisted of floral patterns abstracted and arranged into geometric motifs, indicative of strong Central Asian influence. The Kashmiri motifs are exclusive in their own way. It depicts nature and are strongly influenced by the naturalistic Chinese style. The rich variety of applique work, locally known as Rali, is also among the finest folk art in Pakistan. Mostly, Ralis are multicolored with the ancient combinations of black, white, red, yellow, blue, and green. Furthermore, the subcontinent's ancient techniques of applying designs on textiles with pigments and dyes are admired by one of the greatest. Block printing is the essence of Sindh. and the crafts that make Pakistan stand out in the world. It is one of the numerous arts and crafts that are slowly dying, so have to be renewed and brought back to life. Another surface decorative technique of the subcontinent is tie and dye. Tie and dye is more commonly termed as chunri, bandhana, or lehriya. It is traditional to Sindh and the regions of Punjab, which extend between Cholistan and Lahore. Among the second category, the structural decorative techniques, the handloom weavers of Pakistan have been spinning their magic for generations. Cotton and silk fabric produced today carry on centuries-old tradition in design and craftsmanship, incorporating modern quality and design technique. The weavers are not only expert craftspersons, but artists who capture the spirit of past in the unique traditional designs through bold use of color and texture. The wonders of handloom include susi, dari, khas. Along with these are brocade and kamkhab, which are fine hand-spun creation of silk interwoven with gold or silver thread in a rainbow of colors and designs. Floor coverings were traditionally crafted by the people for their own use. In Mughal period, the woven floor coverings became important export product. The traditional floor coverings of Pakistan can be classified into the categories of non-woven rugs, woven rugs, and hand-knotted carpets. Efforts should be made to create marketable contemporary textile products from the vast variety of historic traditional textile applications. There is a great need to establish a well-connected chain of institutes throughout the region to preserve and promote these historic traditional textiles. It is recommended that this is the high time to proudly step in the modern world with our textile heritage as our unique identity. The short time was given, and so I thank all for patiently listening to this discussion, and the forum is open for questions, comments, and recommendations. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Asna. I must say it's very precise, and you took exactly 10 minutes, so that's good. So, any questions? I am looking in the chat.
Thank you very much. It was very difficult.
If there's a question,
जी जो है वो समुंदर को कूजे में बंद करना था.
Ji, any question? Samina Zahir has sent a message, but
it will be very helpful if there can
no
be
question.
any recommendation
it is
from the listeners at any time to extend this forum.
So
thank you very much, Dr. Samina. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Ufaq.
So no questions, I think. So if there's a question, we'll get back to you later, because you're here and we are all listening to all presentations. So let's move to the next presentation. This is an analysis on the evolution of skin khwab weaving in Punjab. Sumbul Sarfraz, University of Management and Technology, UMT Lahore se. Sumbul, are you listening to me?
Yes,
Over
sir.
to you.
Okay. Sir, let me share my video screen. जी sir.
अगर किसी का माइक खुला है तो वो बंद कर दें.
Is my screen is visible to all?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thanks to Dr. Bilal to giving me this opportunity and platform to present my paper here and as I study. My today's topic is an analysis on the evolution of Kamcha weaving in Punjab. So let's start with the brief introduction of handloom textile production. According to scholars, the entrepreneur history of handloom textile production is as old as the history of mankind, and the archaeological evidences can be traced back to the cities of Indus Valley civilization. And since ancient time, woven textile is not just used to cover the bodies, but also used in countless ways and marked as a status symbol of every region. So each region has its own tradition, has its own culture, and appreciated by others, as you can see from these visuals. There are some visuals of Egyptian weaving, Indus Valley weaving, and subcontinent weaving textile. So, however, the woven textile practiced since ancient time, but it is no wrong to say that it was the Mughal Empire who developed artistic intellectual status and produced splendid luxurious textile. In Mughal time period, the production of Kamcha fabric reached to its peak, which is pretty evident from these miniature paintings. These are some visuals of Mughal era and Persian era as well. It was practiced before the Mughal by Persian and Chinese also. So from similarly from these visuals, we can see the journey of Kamcha fabric from Mughal Empire to European Empire, and notice that these textured fabric also valued by European for centuries due to its design influence, due to its inspiration, and also manufacturing process. It was during the Mughal time when we see the amalgamation of Hindu, Chinese, and Persian culture. So just like all these visuals, these are all in front of you displaying, reflect the taste of different culture, reflect the taste of tradition in the form of surface decoration, in the form of colors and cut lines as well. So if we talk about the word Kamcha, the word Kamcha also originated with the amalgamation of two culture, which is Chinese and Persian. The Kakin is which come from Chinese, which means gold, and Khab, which comes from Persian word, which means dream. So from these costumes, we can see the Persian motif with Indian design studded with gold and silver wires remain the hue of Mughal patronage. These costumes are the most surviving example of 16th to 17th century time period of Akbar reign, which were still displaying in the Victoria and Albert Museum. The shine of the fabric, as you can see, narrate the royalty of the Mughal. The shine clearly show that the purity of the Mughal, purity of the material, which were obviously gold and silver, and the using at that time through their weavings. So, brocade or Kamcha fabric is known for its high level of intricacy and not just practicing in subcontinent but also added value by expanding it to the far-fetched regions. So, it is that the mostly weavers were Muslim who were producing the manufacturing this fabric, and in the Akbar reign, and the motif which were producing at that time were highly inspired by nature. So these are the some natural motif inspiration design. At the time when the Kamcha fabric were woven, identified as Karkhana. So basically, the art of weaving having itself a great legitimacy. Thus, it is no wrong to say that it was the Kamcha making is an art. And to achieve this art, first of all, intricate pattern on loom, highly skilled craft persons were hired, which we called masters or karigars. And when we talk about the manufacturing process, the production of Kamcha fabric, first of all, intricate designs are drawn by hand on the color paper. And for designing, there are several traditional artists are required. If we talk about the motif development and their usage, so there are several historical patterns used as its original form or somehow with minimal changes, just like Latifa Bhuti, Paisley, Jal, scroll with vine and flower motif. So these are the motifs which are running from centuries and construct on handloom and still practicing. The feel and delicacy of the construct fabric quite remarkable, but of course, to achieve this textured fabric, much labor and more time is required. Furthermore, to achieve this pattern, the design is firstly punch on the card, which we call jacquard, as you can see from this picture, the jacquard, and this jacquard is then fixed on the handloom for manufacturing Kamcha fabric, which is quite a slow process and much labor is required, more time is required. So after seeing the technicalities, the limitations, or somehow we call restrictions on the handloom production, this fabric manufacturing process is later on shifting toward jacquard machinery. Jacquard machinery with obviously with minimum time and minimum labor is required with low cost under the reign of European Empire, because they want to produce the Kamcha fabric in mass production. So this is the whole manufacturing process, and we call the journey of handloom textile, handloom machinery to jacquard machinery. After that, let's move toward the surface decoration, the types and design of Kamcha fabric. I hope visuals are visible to all of you. Okay. So after seeing the technicalities, what we call limitations or somehow some restrictions, on manufacturing fabric, the process is later on shifting toward jacquard machinery for mass production with minimum time and minimum labor. So we talk about the surface design and types design elements. Kamcha was formerly an elegant heavy silk fabric with floral and figure pattern woven with silk as in bar and tilla as in weft. In earlier, tilla is known as kasaf, which was produced by the combination of silver and tilla and somehow coated with the gold. Hence, the style and design of Kamcha classified on the basis of thread, fabric, and material. And at first glance, we will able to identify the Kamcha fabric by its texture, by its nature of the fabric, and obviously design elements. Which, as you can see from these pictures, these are the fabrics are classified into many layers, which we call tripara and satpara of that Mughal time period, which were based on warp thread for manufacturing. So these are the visuals which reflect how Kamcha fabric evolved within the passage of time from 16th century to 19th century and still in the process of change. So its speciality is profusely using the gold and silver thread in manner that sometimes leave the silk background hardly visible. So these are all the references which I took from different online museum galleries. And so to collect the evidences, live evidences of Kamcha fabric, I have visited Textile Gallery of Lahore Museum. While visiting, I have seen the surviving example of 17th century time period, the Kamcha fabric with floral pattern in silver and silver built wrapped thread robes, which are displaying in the Textile Gallery of Lahore Museum. The loose robe itself is originally a Central Asian type, illustrated by simple cut, manufacturing with satin weave or somehow with tapestry weaves. The colorful lining is attached to the backside of the fabric to make it more comfortable, just because the gold wires are used, so it is quite difficult for the skin. Itching for this. These kind of robes are not usually worn close, but fastened by the gold Kamcha sash around the waist. So this kind of chobas are somehow used for the decorative purpose or for royal Mughal costumes. So my concern is, let me tell you about the Punjab weaving industry. What is the current scenario of Punjab cottage and industrial industry? Pakistan has always been at the forefront of textile industry and known for its immaculate craftsmanship. Our country is majorly based on traditional weaving and cottage industry in terms of employment. Moreover, cottage industry is under the holder of tradition and the culture of Pakistan. So Punjab is the main center for the production of brocade, or we call Kamcha fabric. Although the craft of textile is enriched in the state of Bengal and Dhaka, but at the same time, Lahore and Multan also the producer of skilled weaving craft. Among all, there is a picture in front of you of Kamalia villagers, weavers, who were famous not just for producing dharis and towels, they are also producing the luxurious Kamcha fabric with the same traditional delicacy as in old times. And somehow, the handloom products, the handloom textile lost its identity and become the golden past. So there is the need to preserve this. Yes, sir?
The last minute.
Sir. So it's almost going to wind up. So it is no wrong to say that there is a tremendous rivalry in the textile market between the power loom and the handloom products. So there are renowned retail brands and industries that manufacture woven textile for apparel, for work finishing, home finishing, and producing on jacquard loom and exported to Germany and Turkey. So from all of these, what is the current, the connotation of the kamcha totally changed, and this is still in demand and the process for a daily purpose with the same feel as in old times, and it was invade even the accessories section, and also fashionable to carry bags and clutches made of it. So this craft, which is somehow we call is on decline, so but at the same time it's showing a very promising trend, and the weavers found a suitable replacement for the manufacturing precious fabric. The gold are replaced by the metallic wires and pipe and zardozi. So all of these I just conclude in a while. As I study and analyze, in today's modern world, everyone demands unique and stylized form of textile, as in earlier. So this art should be underpinned, should be revived, just because from this step we could provide employment to the people of rural area, and with the expansion of such cottage industries, and also with the expansion by developing these industries into modern lines, will be the good initiative for socio-economic growth along with increase in foreign exchange. So that's all. Thank you so much for listening and being. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you very much, Sumbal Sarfraz from UMT. Well done. I must say it's very informative and very current also. Any questions? Any questions?
Just a comment. Very nice presentation. A good historical anecdote of this dying art of brocade. Very well done.
Thank you, Namaskar.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Dr. Naila.
Okay. Should we move to the next presenter? अगर कोई सवाल नहीं है तो हम आगे चलें. So our next presenter is Dr. Naila Amir from College of Art and Design, University of the Punjab. She will talk about the ideological basis of aesthetic simulation in the wood carving of Beera and Chiniot. So over to you, Madam Naila. Mic on, जी. डॉक्टर नाइला की आवाज आ रही है किसी को? एनीबॉडी? मुझे आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही. माइक मुझे लग रहा है आपका प्रॉपरली कनेक्ट नहीं है, जो वायर है माइक की.
ऐसा करें.
ये माइक बंद हुआ हुआ है यहाँ से. जब आप ऊपर लेके जाती हैं इसको अपने कर्सर को, तो वो शो करता है कि आपका माइक ऑफ है. ये देखें ना, ये ऊपर यहाँ पे लेफ्ट साइड पे.
माइक ऑन है सर. ये हेडफोन्स अगर लगाएं, क्या पता कोई इशू हो लैपटॉप में.
नहीं, प्रॉब्लम है. जी डॉक्टर नाइला आमिर, मुझे लग रहा है कि वो नए सिरे से रिकनेक्ट करती हैं, तो क्या हम आगे चलें, अगला प्रेजेंटर ले लें और फिर हम डॉक्टर नाइला को दोबारा हम सुन लें? Manu, can you guide me? Okay. Okay. We are moving to the next presenter.
Hello.
अच्छा, वो आ गई।
Can you hear me now?
जी, आ गई आप। ठीक है जी।
जी sir, I apologize for the technical glitch, but as we all know, it's never within our control. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you everybody for having me on this panel. Thank you, Dr. Saab. And I will, because of the technical glitches, we've already wasted a couple of minutes. So I will go on to my presentation. I'll start my screen sharing right now. Okay. Is the presentation apparent?
Yes, ma'am.
So, sir, my paper, a very good presentation by all my fellow panelists. Very interesting to be on this forum for art and craft. I have a deep affinity with all these things, as many of you are already know that. So, my paper would be on the ideological basis of aesthetic assimilations in the wood carvings of Beera and Punjab. Beera and Punjab being on the route to the the subcontinent, they have been on the influx of various cultures, but the Hindu and Muslim civilizations who have had the most of their settings here, how the different motifs have combined, how the aesthetic imagery or symbolism has combined or assimilated over the centuries is what has interested me, because these two cultures, Hindu and Muslim culture, are geographically very apart, culturally and geographically otherwise. The centers are very apart. But there is a powerful symbolism in their religious ethos. Therefore, there emerged a common basis for assimilation. This paper discusses the aesthetic approaches of both cultures and analysis. And various examples of wood carving, we will only be discussing a few. This study will be beneficial in understanding the aesthetic assimilation as part of the ideological and artistic similarly in the presence of cultural contrast. Now, aesthetics is a loaded term with an unending philosophical depth and a horde of multifarious interpretations. In the most generalized and agreeable sense, it refers to the expressive qualities of an artwork that arises from human sensitivities. Of course, they cannot be given any meaning without corresponding acts of perception and subsequent interpretation. It would not be an oversimplification to state that in case of an artwork, the whole gamut of aesthetics can be comprehended by taking into account the subjective worlds of the artist and viewer and the objective formal components of an artwork. In case of the artist and the viewer, the creation of an aesthetic field, which may be defined as a collection of expressive qualities, borrows from and is determined by an ideological basis which provides the essential definitions of beauty and significance. For instance, the ideological basis for the creation of beauty in art was the philosophical idea of perfection, which came out of assumption that there exists a perfect world of forms of which the worldly appearances are nothing but incomplete imitations. The fundamental drive of art was to achieve the perfection of the ideal world. In order to successfully interpret Greek art, the ideological basis of perfection plays a key role. The ideological basis is therefore a shared and consensual category of subject orientation of a culture in which an artwork is produced and appreciated. Since the subjective orientation is foundational, therefore it absorbs whatever corresponds to its structure. We therefore find multiple events and epochs in history where aesthetic sensibilities of one culture are assimilated with another. The following deliberation focuses on the ideological basis of aesthetic assimilation between Hindu and Muslim culture. This assimilation is most profound in the symbolic imagery, used as an expressive quantity on one hand, and on the other as a means of establishing significance. As Ross Muffin explains, a symbol is something that, although it is of interest in its own right, stands for or suggests something larger and more complex, often an idea or a range of interrelated ideas, attitudes, and practices. The following study presents some examples from the wood carving traditions of Beera and Chinook as events of aesthetic assimilation and discusses their common ideological basis shared by two distinct cultures. Beera and Cheniot are two ancient settlements in the region of Punjab, and due to their proximity to trade routes, they have been exposed to influx of varied cultures. From 10th century onwards, these regions hosted the incoming Muslim influence, and a process of gradual cultural assimilation ensued. The indigenous Hindu population absorbed the incoming culture. However, wherever the ideological basis was similar or had a kind of vacuum, as a result, we find that for the established forms and practices, which include artifacts and their making, new layers of meaning came into being through additive assimilation. The wood carving in the region was a blend of art and craft and heavily relied on design motive and symbolic imagery. Particularly, the symbolic imagery in lieu of the cultural significance it carried went through a process of enrichment in meaning. The wood carving tradition continued throughout centuries. Until this date, some of the most significant of symbols that found a permanent place in the design vocabulary can be observed. These symbols, both in terms of form and meaning, went through transition, but their basic form remained intact, and still their meaning can be understood in the cultural context, although it now exists in multiple layers. Amongst various symbols that became a part of design vocabulary of the artisans stood the test of time and are clearly observable in formal detail. Only three are being discussed for the present study, which is the tree of life, lotus, and the Purana Kalasa. Sayyid Nasr Hussain, this is the Purana Kalasa in a Hindu temple. Sayyid Nasr Hussain, a renowned scholar of Islamic mysticism, once said, "To speak of tradition is to speak of immutable principles of heavenly origin and of their application to different moments in time and space. The tree of life has been a part of mythologies of various ancient cultures. In Indian parlance, it assumed a social function in addition to the mythological presence. It symbolized a shrine with an ever-present deity, a more significant expression borrowed from Buddhist ideology in which tree was considered an essential source of enlightenment. This was likely since Buddha achieved enlightenment sitting under a tree. In later versions of Hinduism, the Buddhist significance assimilated and a tree came to be considered as a sentient being. In one prime example for Hinduism, the wood from Asvastha tree was used to light the fire of wisdom bestowed upon human beings. It assumed the status of God and was worshipped till date. The tree also found a significant place in monotheist religions. The slide that you see right now is from Cheniot. The Torah is often compared with tree of life. In Christianity, the figure of Christ is compared to the tree of life and his words being its fruits. The Quran mentions an immortal tree in paradise with an unimaginable extent and a taste profile. It was planted by God who breathed his spirits into it, says Lale Bakhtiyar. In Islamic mysticism, the significance was established by associating it with the spiritual practice of remembrance, culminating into the final stage of Sufi path of love to be one with the ultimate reality. In the poetry of mystics, the sacred tree of paradise is considered to be a source of knowledge and repentance. The tree of life symbol can be observed in the wood carvings of Beera and Cheniot, as you can see in the slide. Now, unlike the other example, in the case of the lotus, the ideological basis in Hindu and Muslim traditions are varied. In Hindu context, the significance of lotus is established by taking into account the cycle of life. The birth of the lotus is linked to the birth of the revealed knowledge or the Vedas. Similarly, the formation of the flower is seen as an illustration of creation of the universe, wherein potentiality transformed into actuality. It is believed that when the divine life substance is about to put forth the universe, the cosmic waters grow 1,000-petal lotus of pure gold radiant as the sun. In Hinduism, it is also associated to fertility, abundance, purity, and beauty. The Buddha sitting on the lotus throne and various other deities on the pedestal of lotus are clear examples of the significance of lotus. In Muslim tradition, lotus draws its significance from the decorative form instead of a complex underlying mythological depiction. However, before it was incorporated into Muslim art vocabulary of decorative motifs, it had a symbolic significance due to ideological basis in Egyptian and Persian art. In the drawings from Timurid period and monuments from Herat, the motif can be clearly seen as a decorative device. Lotus found a significant place in Mughal architecture, which was nothing but an assimilation of indigenous symbolism and Central Asian aesthetics of decoration. Bagh-e-Nilofar by Emperor Babur, Diwan-e Khas by Emperor Akbar, and Taj Mahal by Emperor Shah Jahan show the use of lotus as a powerful decorative motif. It also found its place in mosque architecture and wood carvings due to its consistent use in Mughal architecture. In both Beera and Chiniot, the use of lotus can be observed. In the presented slide, the bottom two motifs are isolated from Beera and Chiniot wood carvings. Similarly, the Purna Kalasa, which is frequently found in the wood carvings of Chiniot, is primarily a Hindu symbol that transferred into Muslim decorative vocabulary. In Hindu connotation, it is a complex symbol that represents fertility and life force. The symbol is simply a picture from which a plant is coming forth. The lower part of the picture is symbolization of earth. The middle is associated to water, the neck with fire, and the leaves represent the sky or the atmosphere. All four fundamental forms of matter are expressed in one symbol, imparting a richness which is quite elaborate. Culturally, it is used to ward off evil and has a significant place in ceremonies of childbirth and marriage. In temple worship traditions, Purna Kalasa functions as an essential element. We are quite aware of these uses due to the media of India that we can see these things there. It is interesting to note that the assimilation of Purna Kalasa in Muslim architecture is both functional and decorative. It is used as a transition motif in columns, as can be seen in the bottom slide, as a powerful foundation element which is functionally significant. Both the Taj Mahal and the Sheesh Mahal display the use of motifs in columns. It appears the same way in the Pietra Dura slide also. In columns in Chiniot, a colorful display can be observed in Umar Hayat Mahal. It is currently a library, Umar Hayat Library, and there is also a transformation in the formal quality of symbol, but it retains its basic structure. This is the slide on the bottom of that is being presented right now. In the case of Tree of Life, the assimilation seems a likely outcome. However, in the Lotus and the Purna Kalasa has a rich religious foundation, and therefore their assimilation seems to be indirect. Now we come to the ideological basis and how we can identify these things. The Hindu ethos displays, or what is common between the two cultures. The Hindu ethos displays a powerful connection or almost a direct correspondence between the ideological basis and the symbol. The ideological basis comes from the metaphysical understanding of life in which cycle of birth and death are central. The translation of divine potential into reality forms the core, and knowledge, fertility and abundance remain central features. The symbols discussed in this study correspond to these ideas and therefore have powerful cultural connotations and hence significance. In case of Muslim ideological basis, we do not find a direct connection. The symbols are configured in the aesthetic vocabulary due to their formal qualities contributing to the decorative drive. However, if one digs deeper, the decorative drive in Muslim aesthetics is not a thing in itself. It draws its significance from the metaphysical worldview. The depiction of beauty through formal aspects come from the idea and ideal of paradise. Jahangir famously said about Kashmir, if there is heaven on earth, it is here, it is here. It also draws from the Hadith tradition wherein it is stated that God is beautiful and loves beauty. The most renowned Muslim philosophers have praised beauty of form in their aesthetic theories by relating them to the manifestations of the divine. The imitation of paradise in worldly Mughal gardens and the use of floral and vegetal motifs in architectural decoration all stem forth from the single idea of divine beauty manifested in the world. The decorative drive, therefore, is inspired by the metaphysical ideal of beauty, and since Muslim aesthetics forbids figurative imagery, there was always a greater reliance on symbols to translation of two cultures into to express ideas of significance. Sir, last two slides. Both the Hindu-Muslim traditions have a dual Both the Hindu and Muslim tradition have a dual concept of reality. The world is seen as a temporary and an illusion. The divine essence is considered to be the ultimate truth and reality. Due to this dual conception, symbolic imagery found a common ideological basis and therefore paved the way of aesthetic assimilation as observed in the wood carvings of Beera and Chiniot. The significance of the presence of these symbols in the aesthetic vocabulary of these two cities is due to the fact that this tradition is not the noble elite tradition of the Mughals. It was a product of the masses and therefore provides an intriguing field of understanding aesthetic assimilation at the cultural level. It gives us a unique example of aesthetic assimilation in both art and craft and contributes to our understanding of multiple translations of two cultures into an aesthetic analysis. Thank you.
Wonderful, बहुत जबरदस्त. It's a long journey from spiritualism to this very craft. I must say, very impressive.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
G, any question?
I want to say something. Dr. Naila, this was a wonderful presentation, and your comparative analysis between different religions or iconography, everything was absolutely wonderful. Thank you for enlightening.
Thank you so much. Any questions anybody has? So if the panel allows, if the chair allows, are there any questions? No questions? Okay.
So please write down the questions, and we can always come back to our presenters. आपके जो भी सवाल हैं अगर आप लिखते जाएंगे साइट पे तो हम note कर लेंगे, and then we'll discuss maybe by the end of the session if we got some time. Thank you very much, Dr. Naila.
Thank you.
Now we move to our next presenter. Dr. Samina Zahir is our next ऑन कीजिए, माइक नहीं आपका ऑन है, और जो स्क्रीन आप शेयर करिए उसमें हम सारे ही आ रहे हैं, तो वो उसको स्टॉप शेयरिंग करना पड़ेगा, फिर दोबारा से आप शेयर कीजिए जी.
Hello.
जी अब आवाज आ रही है.
Now are you hearing
जी.
me? ठीक है, okay. Now I'm going to share my screen. Is it right? Are you watching my screen? Hello?
Dr. Samina, your
बिल्कुल आ रही है.
Hello, are you?
presentation.
As you know that I am Dr. Samina Zahir from Technology College of Lahore. My paper, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim first. The title of my paper is The Impact of Indigenous. Are you hearing me? आवाज आ रही है मेरी? Hello?
जी आ रही है आवाज.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, ठीक है. The impact of indigenous and transcultural influences on contemporary fine arts practice of Pakistan. This paper is one of my various efforts as a researcher and artist to dig out some hidden artifacts, visual culture of Pakistan, such as truck art, billboards, etc., and their reoccurrence in the contemporary fine arts practices. I just like to say a few words about visual culture. Visual culture is a recently coined terms in which emphasis on imagery rather than text. And contemporary fine arts.
मैम समीना आप माइक अपने करीब
हेलो
जरा
जी जी
कर लें.
आवाज नहीं आ रही. हेलो
काफी इसमें नॉइज है, वो किसी चीज को माइक किसी चीज को टच कर रहा है जिससे वो ना एक हिस्स सी बन रही है.
हेलो अच्छा ओके
जी अब ठीक है.
अब देखिए. हेलो ठीक है. हेलो अब सही है.
बेहतर है जी. बेहतर है.
ओके
जी बेहतर है.
Okay. From visual culture, two types of imagery symbols I would like to share with you people, namely Buraq and Rose. I'm going to describe that two symbols. Buraq is a divine symbol symbolic creature, a combination of human face and animal body. A symbol is more divergent. What is symbol? So a few lines for symbol and sign. A symbol is more divergent in meaning than it appears. It might be a word, an image, an object, a picture, a sound, and a particular mark that represents something else. It always has additional layers of meaning. Every symbol is not universal, but a few may have universal appeal. An essential need with the understanding of symbol is to examine it in its actual cultural boundaries where it is organized by a native culture or society. To have better understanding of the symbol, one has to be aware of the meaning of sign. Sign is static and not as ancient as symbol is. It belongs to modern world to keep pace with its civic necessities. The most popular sign are on roads. So next symbol is, the first symbol is my Burak that I'm going to describe here. Burak is associated with the spiritual journey.
Dr. Samina?
जी, hello, जी.
आपकी मेरे ख्याल स्लाइड्स नहीं चल रही, आप क्या हिस्टोरिकल इमेजरी एंड बुरका पे रुकी हुई हैं, बुराक पे रुकी हुई हैं? सॉरी
जी मैं वहीं पर ही हूँ अभी. यस,
ओके, वो जरा देख लीजिएगा, कोई और अगर स्लाइड ना चल रही हो तो प्लीज बताइएगा. पहले भी वो स्लाइड्स मिस हुई थी ना, मैं इसलिए कह रहा हूँ.
जी, this is, I am here on the history of Burak. To have better understanding, Burak is associated with the spiritual journey of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His travel to seven heavens. This event is described as Miraj. It is a journey from Makkah to Masjid al-Aqsa in Jerusalem. This event is clearly mentioned in Quran, Surah 15, verse 1, Surah Bani Israel. If one wants to trace out the roots of the image Burak, one has to shuffle through the pages of history and locate famous books from the references. Illustration of Miraj Nama indicates incidents are found in these books. The Chronicle of Al-Tabari and Jamal al-Tawarikh are two of the most illustrated books in various other Miraj Namas. We can see the image. I could not bring that imagery because in our culture the imagery of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not acceptable. So, but in various museums and various historical books, it's in libraries, it's available. Historical imagery from Burak can see in those books. Now I am showing Burak in visual culture. It is an image of local poster I got near to Shrine Dada Ganjbakhsh. We can find the symbolic presence of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the form of green tone. When I noticed Burak in visual culture, I was not aware of the presence in Persian art. In our region, Burak is always portrayed in feminine form with bridal embellishment, and it's always shown in the context of Al-Aqsa Mosque, Masjid al-Nabi, or with Kaaba, as shown in another poster. Symbolic presence of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam on Burak. And here you can watch two horses. One is Zuljana and the next is Burak. I got this image from GT Road. Truck art is also embellished with the iconic of winged Burak. Such symbols have protective value. Artist is also interested in beautifying this truck. Now some highlights from high art. Anwar Said Akhtar, Hamra Abbas, and Nahid Raza use the image with their own connotations. Only one artist, Hamra Abbas, is being described here. Whenever she went to abroad from art education, her artistic endeavors remain with so-called voice of her origin. She traveled the whole Pakistan by road. In this journey, she saw graffiti and local imagery that includes Burak. Her life-size sculpture shares similarities with truck art. Nahid Raza, her Burak is with truck art. The next symbol is rose. Contemporary visual forms of our culture are omnipresent, from personal to social and religious life, and have rich symbolism and iconography. One such established example is the rose. Its adoration is found in profusion with meaning from sacred to contemporary life. Its early appearance as symbol in Greek, Roman, Christian civilization, Iranian art, and literature such as the poetry of Attar, Ghazali, Maulana Rumi, Sadi can be found. Hafiz is one of the superior masters whose lyrical odds are unsurpassed like gems. In subcontinent, Mughal and later Indian art also give it a large notice. A Dakhni painting artist provide a magnificent image of Gulo Bulbul. Instead of flower, he created a girl along with the bulbul. This black and white is Dakhni painting, and the left side brown painting is Gulo Bulbul from Turkish art. In Persian and Safed and Qajar period, a single rose is associated with decor manners or is a surface to the heavenly spaces. When the rose is paired with the nightingale, it carries poetic and mystic meaning, only present in Persian Sufi poetry, in Persian lyrical poetry from the 10th century to 12th century. Only the character of lover is lyric speaker. As a lover, he often represents his situation as disguise of a nightingale. In Pakistani rose in visual culture, a crown from truck art, it's full with roses, trolley with rose. This is a poster, I got it from Dada Darbar. This saint is originally was from Peshawar and his name was Gul Wazir Khan. People had his presence in annual procession of Bari Imam Shrine for several years. Following that, he spent 10 to 12 years in wilderness of the advice of his spiritual guide. Finally, he settled in Rawalpindi, and people venerated him for his love of God and mankind. After his death, one of his disciples captured his affectionate nature by portraying him with rose in hand in a posture of offering it to the viewer. This is another poster I got from Dada Darbar. The core subject of matter of this post painting is Hazrat Ali and his son's love. In this scene, father is giving a rose to his elder son, Imam Hussain, and going to present another rose to his younger beloved son, Imam Hussain. The act is simple representation of love and affection to of a father to his son, but symbolically it is more than this. As the father is teaching a lesson to his son to carry on the path of the doctrine of his grandfather, which he received and is transmitting to his descendants. Hazrat Ali has performed his obligation during his regime absolutely in a dutiful manner. Now he is expecting to his son the same. The red rose is a sign of commitment and continuity of the tradition. So this is a poster. Some posters from various shrines, showing some shrines, but only with decorative surfaces.
Dr. Samina, last minute.
Okay. Here we can find an image of Bahar of Rose with the for the Shahadat of Imam Hussain. A few images of rose from the work of Rahat Naveed Masood. Rahat Naveed Masood creates an imagery simultaneously on two levels, the physical world and the metaphysical. I derived this work from Ishq series. The intention of the mysterious celestial to divine realities can be seen here. A lady lies sleeping with her face half hidden. A blossoming rose lies next to her. The thin layer of chiffon covering her and the nearly rose conveys an idea that she is the victim of love, as the rose indicates spiritual love. conclusive remarks, my study established the fact that the representation of gender for Buraq is only evident in the art of Pakistan, the local poster and in track art. Indication of female beauty combining worldly and spiritually connotations, but very different from the purpose or it was used in Persian and Turkish miniature. My research also concludes that the use of this symbol was contemporary Pakistani artist Nahid Raza, Anwar Said and Hamra Baz has no historical perspective. For rose, my observation concludes that the Pakistani visual artist, the rose with multifarious meaning appears as a single entity, both for earthly and spiritual meaning. All artists from Pakistan like Rahat Naveed, Masood, Mahar Afroz, Aisha Khan got references for their own region as a single identity, not with the presence of concept of global. Thank you.
बहुत जबरदस्त. I must say it's wonderful. Lot of imagery you have shown.
लेकिन मुझे बहुत तेज.
And time is short.
हाँ, मुझे बहुत तेज ट्रेन
चलानी पड़ी. Time is short, so we have to.
Yes.
जी. So wonderful. We must listen to you some other time. I think it should be a more time for this kind of discussion. So any questions, please? Any questions? There are a few comments from different presenters and listeners, but I think no question. I think we'll have a session in the end because mostly people are not questioning within the time frame. Okay, there's a question from Dr. Naila Amir. डॉक्टर नाइला मेरा खुद ही ये पूछ लें अगर सवाल खुद ही कर लें बजाय इसके.
ठीक है सर. डॉक्टर समीना, मैं बीच में थोड़ा सा मेरा कनेक्शन का खराब हुआ था. I was just wondering because you showed Dr. Rahat's paintings of the rose, but I was expecting Dr. Saeed Akhtar Saab's Buraq series. So I was wondering, does that fit into your?
Yes, it is 101% fitting in my subject, but unfortunately, I don't have its better image. It was so balar that I could. There are so many Buraqs available in my pocket, but for the
just because of one of the major ones.
Yes, it is
wonderful
there.
Presentation. We must definitely have you as a speaker soon.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bilal. शुक्रिया बहुत सबका सुनने का बहुत शुक्रिया सबका. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Samina. Dr. Samina Zahir was presenting, so it's a wonderful talk, and there are a lot to listen, and we'll definitely have another session sometime. Now move to our next presenter. This is Nagina Kamal from University of the Punjab, reflecting the socio-political practices. Nagina Kamal, are you here? Nagina Kamal is missing, I think.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Okay. Over to you, Nagina.
Sir, I'm here, but there's some problem in presenting my slides. If the coordinator could help and play my slides, and I would speak from my side. Okay, I would try
Nagina,
presenting my slides.
Send slides to me.
Okay, Nagina, you send your
Nagina,
you send your slides to Manur Sajjad, and in the meantime, she will fix this presentation. Should we move to the next presenter, Manur?
Sir, I'm presenting my slides.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
If these are,
Okay.
I hope these are visible.
Yeah. These are visible. Yes,
okay.
Visible.
Okay, so thank you so much for giving me this chance to present my work. The topic, as it says, that this is reflecting the socio-political practices, critical analysis of Gorgi comic strips. So definitely the comics, they not only provide entertainment, but they also manifest the popular culture and they convey ideologies. So in my this Gorgi comic strip series in which I'm working, that is the product of Nigar Nazar. And this comic strip that conveys the current culture of Pakistan and the existing problems of social, political, and administrative concern. Moving on. In my study, since my study that conveys the or that depicts the relationship between society and comic strips, my purpose is to examine its underlying meaning in order to see its role in reflecting the social, cultural, and political practices of Pakistan and thus challenging them. And this also tries to see how media groups and authors make their own political and social choices, and they reproduce or contest the traditions and customs of their society. My main objective of this study is to see how these comic strips reveal the creator's way of employing the subtle humor as a strategy to resist and critique the socio-political practices of Pakistani politicians, administration, and society in general. And for achieving my purpose, I have used the qualitative paradigm by using the semiotic analysis by employing Barth's semiotic approach, and I did the critical discourse analysis by drawing on Fairclough's three-dimensional model. And here I would come straight towards the analysis part, and I'm just showing you the first example, the first image. And if we have a look at this image, we would see that this comic strip actually that is about the administration of Pakistan in general, WAPDA and medical department in particular, they are criticized. And the topic dealt with is lack of administration, and the theme is the state of affairs in medical departments. So if we have a look at this comic strip, we would see that some signs are indicated: the sign of emergency ward, a badly cut finger with blood dripping, the electric light, and the most salient is the blackout time sign, which is placed in front, and that is in a dark color. The first sign denotes the place where the patients are treated in any emergency situation. The interlinked sign is the blood spilling finger, and the big size sign of blackout, which is to catch viewers' attention and to show the theme or ideology of the comic strip. So the combination of these signs creates a state which is ironic, and that signals the incongruity between the seriousness of the situation and the triviality of the arrangement. So if you have a look at the what is the purpose of these lexical and semiotic choices, because they affect the minds and the attitudes of the readers differently. So the verbal and the visual choices, they reveal the artist's attitude and the kind of interpretation that he or she wants the reader to draw, and so forth. So since in this comic strip you would see that there is no verbal exchange between the characters shown in the image, so rather there are some verbal signs indicating the situation. So here I would try to interpret the verbal signs. That I would say that the technique of exaggeration is used to convey the message and the theme of the image. The image is not depicted in black and white in order to overstate the effect of load shedding, which is a common phenomenon of daily life in Pakistan. Yet the cartoonists purposefully address such a common issue in an absolutely special setting, which in this case is emergency room, and that involves the matter of life and death. So one can hear many cases of the laxity of medical departments. This is one of them, which is depicted to raise consciousness among the concerned authorities, or at least to let the reader know or be aware of it. So the cartoonist particularly draws on the general practices of the medical department, who could be held responsible because of their mismanagement, and generally on the power and energy crisis in Pakistan, for which the administration is liable. And here I would move towards my second and third example. In the second example, we would see that this comic strip addresses the issue of deficient infrastructure, particularly the poor condition of roads and sewerage system. It draws on the carelessness and incompetency of municipal administration. So here, if you have a look at this image, we would see that there are, the image shows a narrative structure. And the objects shown are that of the signpost of 6 roads, school bag, books, and an office bag. The characters shown in the image, they are associated. The characters which are shown and the characters which are associated with the images or with the objects are that of a schoolboy, holding a school bag, and two ladies, one holding the books and a handbag, and the other with an office bag, who look like a working woman coming back. They both look like working women who are coming back from their job. Thus, portraying women and a child implicitly reveals the concerns of the artists for working women and children in particular, and public in general. They are on foot. That shows that they do not belong to upper class, those who can afford to get away from such nuisance. Rather, they symbolize common public and their distress. So the cartoonist here intends to show the misery of public while traveling on road. The sign of 6 road makes it more specific when pointing to the condition of roads in Rawalpindi, which are dug up for one or the other reason and left like this for a limitless time, as well as they are poorly constructed with bumps and dust. So here, when we come towards the analysis of text, we would see that the text is aligned with the images shown. It goes like, thank God it has rained, at least the dust has settled down. And in the second image, that says, it's been so long that we have been walking through this dug-up road. So the difference is, first we were walking through the dust, now we are struggling through the slush. Coming to the analysis, the first sentence indicates the irritability with the previous situation when it has not rained and the dust was around. Thank God, point to the relief people have got. The second utterance demonstrates the slacked and floppy attitude of the government, who in the name of developmental projects dug up the roads, which go on for years, thus creating more problems for the public other than the existing ones. The last two statements are culminating as there is no way out of this suffering. People are ready to go through it until the administration activate their energies and take some positive, constructive steps. And now moving on towards the third example, we would see that this image shows 3 interconnected frames where the message of one is built over another. The recurrent motif in all Gorgi comic strips is the creator of Gorgi, is the character of Gorgi as a spokesperson of public, and there are the figures of a schoolboy and Gorgi discussing some matter. They look worried through their faces as their facial expressions suggest. So objects used in this Gorgi comic strip, they are lollipops, school bag, and the school bag is foregrounded to focus on its significance. Lollipop signals the class system, and school bag refers to the education system. The schoolboy is shown holding the lollipop, which is a sign of superfluity and tantrums, whereas the school bag is full of books hints towards the absurdity of education system, where books and knowledge have got incongruent to each other, loading the students of this age with more books and less knowledge. If we come towards the analysis of text, we would see the text goes like this, that, well, Gorgi, if houseboy is sick, I can't go to school today. But why, Bablu? The linguistic part describes the image while making the situation clear. The concluding statement occurs in the last. Who's going to carry this big bag full of books? So the sarcasm is established by both the visual as well as linguistic elements. The satire is targeted towards both the education system as well as the existing power structures in society. So hereby, with both of these examples, I'm coming towards the implications of the study and the conclusion part. So the analysis of the strips that brings to light the socio-political issues and helps see the way they interact in the power relations in society. They also help reveal the complexity of the discourse of comic strips. And the paper argues that comic strips are a powerful medium in exerting their influence on the audience by making a subtle representation of the social and political issues and by questioning and contesting the existing hierarchies in the social order. Therefore, it is concluded that the cartoonist's ideologies are prevalent in the studied Gorgi comic strips. The ideological positioning shows resistance towards the inequalities, injustices, and the power abuse of the authorities in Pakistani socio-political context. And with this, I would end my presentation. And since the time was short, thereby I've taken only the 3 examples. And thank you so much.
Yes, yes. Yes, the time is short. Thank you, Nagina. There are a couple of questions. Yes, there's a question from Dr. Ufak. Dr. Ufak, you want to ask yourself? Basically, we are short of time right now, so if we could move on to the next presenter and then we come back to these questions. I also have a question about this comic thing, but I think Manur is saying the time is short. Manur, should we move to the next presenter or should we take the questions now?
Sir, please move on to the last presentation because
Yeah.
we only have 9 minutes.
Yes. So let's move to the next presenter. We are running short of time because our first presenter have taken a lot of time. So we quickly move to the next presenter. Next presenter is Aisha Bilal from Lahore College for Women University. She will present oppositely parallel, and that's something about the females in Pakistan. So over to you, Aisha.
Thanks for sparing the time for the session or staying along.
आपकी आवाज कम है.
आवाज कम है.
थोड़ा सा करीब कर ले माइक.
मैंने तो ईयरफोन्स लगाए हैं जी. अभी आवाज आ रही है?
ओके, ठीक है जी, करेक्ट.
So do I have only 8 minutes to present? मुझे I'm just a bit confused about that.
Take 10 minutes.
Okay. Right. I'm just sharing my screen. Hope you can see that.
जी, स्लाइड्स नजर आ रही हैं आपकी. माइक आप थोड़ा सा करीब कर लें और ताकि बात हो सके. जी.
So oppositely parallels. A visual inquiry of dynamics of female space in a post-colonial patriarchal society is my research paper. This research is based on my practice for PhD coursework, and it consists of 2 parts. Basically, every research have a socio-cultural background, and for this practice, I have also looked into the socio-cultural background in the urban Lahore, basically, and in a patriarchal society of Pakistan, which is also a post-colonial society as well. So in urban areas, a woman have certain roles to perform in variety of socio-economic sets. Women's participation in economic and working and buying capacity in urban culture has been increasing at a significant pace. They are seen present at the public spaces more often now than before. Cities, especially larger urban areas, also have more number of women-headed households, single women living by themselves, professional women who need to travel. So when comes the more responsibility, it comes to more movement out and about. But later we can see that women are given less liberty for all these responsibilities. This is the image from my recent project for UNESCO in 2021. It is titled as Female Journalist in Challenging Conditions. And it is a clearer depiction of the socio-cultural background I'm talking about right now. It's an empowered woman holding a camera in her hand, ready to face the male-dominated society in midst of religious and post-colonial constructs. Here we can see the mosque minaret on the left, and also a male-dominated depiction as males are. This is a space, public space, dominated by males, and I was the only female at that time of the shot, and my subject was the female. 2 of us were there, and most of them most of the crowd was consisting of males. So if we look into the background of this female, we can see a billboard stressing on ponds, and then you can see the word which is a bit enlarged than soft skin and soft and smooth skin, body lotion. So this body lotion thing is a little bit intriguing for me, because in a society or in a place where which is crowded and full of males all around, why the brand is using this word body lotion. And because we all belong to the same society and an art background, and as we have seen that Dr. Samina Zahid has talked about the semiotics, signs and symbols, so we can see the impact of this certain word on the relationship of males and females. And it's a little bit disturbing for me as practitioner. And then of course the fair skin, which is almost white, like the billboards color. So this depicts the post-colonial constructs in our mindsets. So moving on, when women start performing certain responsibilities, and they want to perform their roles, women need to move in and about, uh, and certainly they need transportation for certain purpose. But in 21st century, still many modes of women movement are controlled. Moving alone is called unsafe, unethical, and is being made unsafe and unethical. It is not only said, but it is unsafe and not unethical, but unsafe. And if we talk about driving, then according to Simons, cars have been portrayed as a ticket to freedom and leisure, a way of breaking free of traditional gender roles that tied them to the household. So we are few of the privileged ones who can drive on our own, but I've seen many women around who are not even allowed to touch their cars, and they have to move in company of their husbands or their brothers or their fathers. So yes, that's another angle. And when it comes to the representation of women in art practices in history, uh, then we can also see a certain space which is marked by men for the women. Here, I have to use the John Berger's ways of seeing statement that you painted a naked woman because you enjoyed looking at her, put a mirror in her hand, and you called the painting vanity, thus morally condemning the women whose nakedness you had depicted for your own pleasure. So this is a statement which is so eye opener, that objectifying the women and presenting as them as fragile, alluring, and domesticated is again a domain created by male artists in the over the course of history. This is the example of these are the examples of very famous popular artworks, and even the masterpieces. But we can see the postures, we can see the placements, we can see the spaces women have been placed and how they have been placed in such spaces. Until Gustave Caillebotte and Mary Cassatt's works, when they started showing females on public spaces as well, accompanying men, especially in this painting of Mary Cassatt's in the lodge, where she is presenting uh, women in as a looker, not a thing to be looked at only, but as a looker as well. So that was a interesting finding for me. Next, if we come to the next aspect of why and how women has been portrayed in the art, Western art, and even in the Eastern art, in the Pakistani art as well. So it's all about starting from the possession of gaze, which is uh, related to males mainly. So if we talk that if we say that men look at women, women watch themselves being looked at. So we can see that if we, with the due mazrat to many dominant artists of Pakistan as well, and Western as well, that because of the possession of their gaze, they are intervening in the space of females so frequently by painting nudes and by painting,
Aisha, last
objectifying
minute.
women.
Try to conclude.
Sorry, acha, mere paas to bhi bahut slides hain anyways. So now coming to the practice, I will take 2 or 3 more minutes, please. Now coming to the practice, oppositely parallels. Uh, this is the first image from the series of moving images, oppositely parallels. This image, this image of the billboard we can see on the Liberty Chalk, and what I'm trying to say about it is dominantly placed, well lit, overpowering and catchy images of liberated females on gigantic billboards in the society where otherwise women are not expected to stay out alone. And if we look deeper into this image, the placement, the lighting, green and white, symbolizing piousness and divinity, the square shape of the square shape from this certain site tickles our memory of belonging to the sacred place. What I'm trying to make my point is that uh, certainly we see huge billboards across the city placed on such high plinths and depicting and representing females, empowered females. But do we really do we really deal women in certain way? When I look at the front of this image, when I come to this image, the another screenshot from the same moving image, that in the advert we can see a smiling, empowered, strong female accompanying her daughter, and "Ma Banaye Jar Se Mazboot" is the caption. And but we look around, and in front of the image we can see that no woman is there without the company of a male. Even this shadowy image of the male holding the hand of his daughter, or somebody else, but a female kid, and then looking around and searching for an alone female. No, there is no one. So what I'm trying to make my point is that this, acceptable space for billboards is also um, a kind of a product of male domination, and male dominating thought process over the society. And the other spaces are, of course, the homes, where we want to look our women to be, and that's the likable space for women, of course, all over the society. They are wanted to be stay home, and means the women are actually supposed to be in the spaces defined or confined by the society. Here, I'm not saying that they are very much confined to those their homes, but their spaces are expanding as well. They can be seen more on the roads and more on the public spaces than ever before. But the spaces and physical spaces and the emotional spaces are controlled and confined. And a last slide about is my display, that how I displayed the show. It is actually um, a building installation, video installation, especially the domesticated female. I have projected her on the colonial architecture, just to bring her out and to
Aisha,
confront
please
the society.
conclude. We are 5 minutes
Yeah, I'm just
ahead
concluding.
of time now.
I'm concluding. Um, Only, actually, I missed the point. Yeah. I have brought her out on a architecture. What I'm trying to make a point from this practice that why we can't see such images of normal human in dressed up or normal humble kind of attire on the billboards or on in live actually, why they are to be shown as objectified women, or the women you can see and get inspired of, or you can like them, love them, and throw words on them, or sometimes throw black inks on them sometimes, because that's another story, and which was discussed in one of my papers, blackened images of females on billboards. And this is it. I think I'm done with my presentation. And conclusion thoda sa, because it's in process, the practice is in process, so conclude nahi main karungi isko. It is ongoing practice. Thank you so much.
So thank you very much. We are almost finished with all our presentations. There's a few questions. If you could look into the chat box. Ufuk has question on patriarchy, that are we, when we say patriarchy, are we political? I think everybody is political. That's my point of view. And if it's not political, then yes.
Yeah, the presentation was really nice, Aisha. I must say the topic is very groundbreaking. But I have a few questions academically. Do you think it's okay to stigmatize our own society with statements like patriarchal? Doesn't it make your research very political? And the other question is, when you are referring parallel, are you trying to talk about contradictions? Because when you say oppositely parallel, I couldn't fit that statement in any academic theory or any academic situation. So I have two questions. Otherwise, the presentation and the topic is completely awesome.
Thank you so much, Ufuk, and I would love to answer your questions. Yes, it is political. Any art practice which is not political, and I'm certainly a little bit against the drawing room art, which is not stating anything or which is not contributing to the society, if even in the West or in our country. So yes, art must say something about the surroundings it has been, prevailed in. Yes, it is political, and interestingly enough, Ufuk, I am, as you said, stigmatizing the society, but pinpointing the problems or issues in the society through any form of maybe literature, film, drama, or art is, I think, integral in this.
Aisha, I'm so sorry to cut you here as we have a time crunch. I just want to say, as you mentioned, that it's an ongoing project. So I would say that if it's an ongoing project, then statements like this should be reserved for the concluding phase, But it's nice, and I love your answer. Thank you, Aisha.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We can have more discussion,
Oh, sure. Anytime. Yeah.
Samina Zahir has raised her hand.
I'm not asking any question. I'm just commenting on this statements. बहुत अच्छा आयशा, ये बहस जो है बहुत अरसे से चल रही है, ईस्ट में, वेस्ट में बहुत किताबें एनसीए की लाइब्रेरी में आप देखिएगा, आपने देखी होंगी, बहुत सारा गोरिल्ला सिस्टर्स और बहुत सारे रेफरेंसेस हैं. बट द डिफरेंस यू आर डूइंग हियर, ये बहस चलती रहेगी और होती रहेगी, ठीक है, जब तक औरत और मर्द हैं इस सोसाइटी में. और लेकिन जो डिफरेंस जो आई एम फीलिंग, और एंड आई होप सो कि आप इसको कंटिन्यू करेंगी बहुत अच्छे से. तो आप इसको जो मैं कहना चाह रही हूँ, वो आप अपनी जो सराउंडिंग में जो एलिमेंट्स है, उसको जो मेटाफर्स जो आप इकट्ठे कर रहे हैं, तो आप इसको एक लोकल और एक पर्सनलाइज्ड लेवल पे लेके जा रहे हो. दैट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द रेस्ट ऑफ द नॉलेज. तो मैं इसको बहुत अप्रिशिएट करती हूँ.
आगे मैम, आपका मैंने जिक्र बहुत सुना है सबसे, और आपकी तरफ से ही बात है. आई एम सो ग्लैड, यू मेड माय डे.
वैसे किस सेंस में सुना है?
अच्छे सेंस में सुना है, ऑफ कोर्स, के मतलब आपका जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है towards the research, especially.
So,
and I loved your presentation. I wanted to say, yeah.
Thank you. I think we must conclude now. We already have taken 10 minutes more than the given time. We have started the presentations from our keynote speaker, Mr. Ahsan Bhutta from Archaeology departments. He took a lot of time and very enthusiastically he talked about how we can make our tourism more sustainable. Then we missed one of our presenter, and then we moved to Asma Mubashira. She talked about the textile heritage of Pakistan. Sumbul Sarfraz talked about the evolution of Kimkhwab weaving in Punjab, and she covered a lot of time, like kind of a timeline, and reached to the final, what kind of work is currently in practice. So she also mentioned that. Then there was a very interesting talk by Dr. Naila Amir, Ideological Basis of Aesthetic Assimilation, and she relate the spiritualism with this craft of this wooden craft of Chiniot and Beera. And then Dr. Samina Zahir has talked about the impact of indigenous and transcultural influence on contemporary fine art. And she has shown a lot of images, and she did not show a couple of images, which I would love to see sometime when we meet privately, maybe in some other domain where we could, share more images. Then there was Nagina Kamal, who talked about Gorgi comics. And last, and I think it's a bit kind of hard for the last presenter because time was very short. So oppositely parallel was discussed by Aisha Bilal, and there are a lot of questions, a couple of questions from Ufak, and I think you can talk later on about it, and a comment from interesting comments from all our presenters and from our listeners. So it's a wonderful session about art and craft of Pakistan.
A little bit, because Nagina Kaval was her presentation was awesome, and the questions were skipped. So if I could request Manur, the organizer, if we can take her questions for like 5 minutes, because we would like to know about her practice. And
but I think Nagina has left already. I think Nagina want to join another session. That's no, Nagina is here. So there's okay, Nagina. There are a few questions if you want to.
Yes.
Have you read the questions if you want to answer?
Yes, sir. There was a question from Ma'am Ufak, and she asked about my academic background and why I chose to study these Gorgi comic strips. So, ma'am, I'm being an English linguistics student. I found these comics very interesting to study them critically, as well as to apply the semiotic approach to study them. So, I have studied so many comic strips. Only have chosen these one for the presentation because the time was short. So I have many other a long series of the comic strips that I have already studied and analyzed them extensively.
One more question, Nagina. What kind of element did you use in Barthic visual methodology, if your approach is?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am, I've choose the semiotic approach by Barthes, 1977, and I've choose Fairclough's three-dimensional model. And in Barthes' semiotic approach, he stressed upon the denotative and connotative meanings of any image. So in that, I have applied both of these. I've tried to decipher the denotative as well as the connotative meanings from the images, as well as I have applied the Fairclough's model in order to study the text and to see its textual meaning as well as its social meaning. And I've interpreted them by applying both of these kinds of approaches, which are applied in the field of linguistics.
Oh, thank you, Nagina.
Nagina, Mike, I also have a question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Nagina, I also have a question
Sure.
on your. I must say it's very interesting and very different from the rest of the.
Thank you, sir.
It's more contemporary and when we say is it a local comic series? If it's local, then why not it's in Urdu? And why we are saying it Gorgi rather than Gogi? Because when we are like in our personal space
If
like
I
over
would,
here, it's Gogi rather than Gogi. So how can you say that?
yes, sir, I would definitely comment on that. So there are some comics in Urdu available too in the Gorgi series. So I'm saying it Gorgi because I'm presenting in English. If I would be presenting in Urdu, you just allow me to present in Urdu, then I would say it Gogi.
Okay. So that's the only difference. Okay.
I would just give my little response on Nagina's because
Ji, please, Aisha.
she talked about comics, which is like an emerging form in Pakistan in terms of analysis, especially. And you used Barth's methodology, who's very close to my heart. So congratulations, Nagina. It was really refreshing to hear you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So round of applause for everybody. Not only let's finish our session. Best of luck to all of you. Have a nice day.
Thank
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.